the County Board of Commissioners, March 10th, 9 a.m. regular meeting. Call this meeting to order. If you will, please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Just ask you to bow with me. Lord, we just come to you as always, thanking you so much for the very gifts that you've sent our way, the very gift of life, Father. We thank you so much for. And Lord, we just ask you over the next few minutes if you will just calm our fears, give us that peace of mind, Lord, that it takes to make those decisions that would be befitting to you as well as to this county. And Lord, as always, forgive us where we fail you. In Christ Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. We come to item number 2 on the agenda, and that is to adopt the agenda. Are there anything that we need to add?
Yes, sir. I would like to add a request to the board for this assistance in operation interference.
Okay.
If that's okay with the board.
Okay.
I'd like to discuss that matter.
Is that under?
New business under
business.
number 8.
Number 8.
Request for operation interference discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
also, since our pages are not numbered, there's a section in the minutes where former Commissioner Bray was speaking, and there's some terminology in there. And I just want to make sure that it's clear. It says, if it had been illegal, the commissioners would have to.
Do you want to do that during the minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're under the agenda
Oh,
right
I'm
now.
sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
I apologize. Well, then what I want to ask about the agenda, under new business, section number 5, discuss vested right. Is that are we saying their rights are already vested, or are we trying to determine if the rights are vested?
Well, we wanted to discuss if there are vested rights. I believe there are based on the evidence we got. That's going to be a decision.
All right, so the question is
Consideration of vested.
consideration of vested. Would that be a better way to phrase that on?
We could say.
I would recommend.
Okay, all right, that'd be fine.
So we're changing something.
Cons-
Yeah, I know. Right.
To consideration of vested rights.
Okay. So do I have a motion? Are there any other additions,
Yes, sir.
changes?
I would like to have a short covered bridge discussion, make that number 9.
All right. Item number 9, covered bridge discussion. Anything else? Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda with the changes made?
So moved.
All right. Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. All right. Item number 3, minutes. Commissioner Hines.
Okay. Like I stated earlier, there's no numbers on our page, but it says, if it had been illegal, the commissioners would have to vote again to make it. I don't know if that meant to be illegal or legal. I'm not sure what was meant in that. So just whenever we can clarify what that is, or maybe the attorney can assist us, but just that wording right there.
Was that wording from former Commissioner Bray?
Let me see here.
What page of the minutes is it on? I know
That's
they're,
what I'm saying, it doesn't happen.
no, but they're in order as far as minutes, so.
It's right above,
It's on the page where it says report from finance director. Report from finance director is at the bottom, report from county administrator is at the very top. But you know, we just changed that, so I might be looking at the old one, so.
Said if it had been illegally made.
All right. Yeah, I see what you mean. Make it illegal, but it should be make it legal. very end.
To make it legal.
Right. So that needs to be changed to make legal and take out the word illegal. All right, any other changes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes with the change?
So moved.
All right, have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Motion carries. Municipal comments? Don't see. All right. Are there any cities on?
I can't hardly read it from here, so.
I see Meriwether Chamber. Carolyn, do you have anything? Unmute yourself.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item number 5, constitutional officers. All right, I don't see any. We'll move to department heads. We're not having that. So the next item, item number 7 is public hearing. Item number 1 under public hearing is case number 09-2021. Do I have a motion to go into public hearing?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. We are in public hearing at 9:06. Butch?
Morning.
Morning.
We'll try to wing this. This kind of was dropped on me at the last second. So I do know that the applicant is requesting to move to change from RD to RR for a special use for limited ag use for a hobby kennel. And we recommend approval of this. Kathy had went through and done a study. She didn't see where anything that the applicant would do would adversely affect any of the property owners. Most of the properties around these people's property is ag, which is 25 acres or more. Well, now, if y'all got any questions, I'll do my best to find it.
And Mr. Chairman, like Butch said, this was dropped right on him at the last minute, but I do have some additional information that I gathered based upon what you guys were looking at and considering. I did some research on hobby breeding, and it indicates that hobby breeding is only once or twice per year, and that the sellers of the pups and hobby breeding do not consider the proceeds to be taxable income. The Georgia Department of Ag requires a pet dealer's license if they sell more than 1 litter in any 12-month period or over 30 dogs in a 12-month period. Now, our code says that residential lots of 5 acres or more and lots zoned A1 and RR are limited to 5 dogs and 5 cats. Right now, I think there's maybe 10 to 7 on premises. And also the ordinance that we're under now would allow for 1 litter of puppies or kittens, and it can remain on the owner's property for a period of 12 weeks. So it gives you time to have the pups grow up and be adopted. Now Section 3221 established a provision for waiver to the animal limitations on the number, but this is really normally done for a shelter, a situation where, there's a extenuating circumstance and, they need to take in some dogs or cats or et cetera. So one of the things that we looked at was, what was the proper zoning? I think there was some concern about reverting back. And, we could consider, rezoning it LDR. That would be a special use as opposed to a permitted use. So that would allow it to, once the owner was, sold the property, that special provision would be removed. My thoughts were that we also need to consider limiting the number of adult dogs, as the ordinance does say 5. And I would say limit the number of puppies as well. Also, if the board were to rezone it, I would note that I'd like to see a provision that they cease operation. If they cease operation of hobby breeding for a period of 12 months, then that provision would expire as well. And also, they do not need to be allowed to have any employees on site other than the people living at the location. Because if you get into that, you get into more of a business, and this is actually a residential neighborhood. So as the property is currently zoned, they could still have up to 5 dogs, and they could still have a litter of puppies every year. Doesn't say how many puppies, they just have one litter. And the puppies could remain on site without any problem, without any issue for a period of 12 weeks. So, the options, my opinion, would be to, you could look at it and say, well, they can have 5 dogs and a litter of puppies already without having to rezone anything and create a zoning district that's peculiar to the area. Or failing that, I would try to put in some provisions that says, the special use goes away, limit the number of dogs, limit the number of pups, if you want to allow beyond what we currently have. And then, note that should be no employees on site. So with those considerations, I'd be glad for Butch and I to take any questions that you have.
One thing I'd like to add to that, Mr. Theron, is all their sales are over the internet. There will be no traffic of people coming in to their property. There won't be a line of people coming in and doing things. It's all over the internet. And they do have from the Department of Ag, they have their pet dealer's license. It was issued February 11th of this year. And the AKC actually considers a hobby breeder 3 or more litters a year.
AKC.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, this is really something I don't have a full grasp on. Bear with me, trying to understand this. So currently, the way it's zoned, they can have the 5 dogs and 1 litter and don't have to change anything in the zone. But you're stating that you can put some stipulations as far as how they operate if they find themselves, let's say it expands, let's say things, they want to expand. So there's some limitation. You mentioned something about an LD, special LDR. So just explain that once again.
Okay, absolutely. If you zone it to the original request, it becomes a use that goes along with it. So that use, if you zone it to whatever it is, RR, and that they want it, then it's an allowable use. So they need nothing else. And that means also that if they sold it, someone else came in, they still have that same allowable use. With the LDR, it becomes a special use. That special use is only for that particular owner. So if that goes away and it sells, we need to have provisions that so does the special use. That was the reason we looked at LDR as another option.
Thank you.
It's been.
Any other commissioners? Anything else?
I think the hearing is still open.
So did anyone sign up wanting to speak? There is a sign-up sheet if you all want to speak on what was just stated.
I spoke last time, I didn't know if you had more questions.
Do you want to speak?
Yeah, we recently had a homeowner
You
association.
will come up and sign your name, state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Craig Norris. I live at 1166 Hidden Lakes Road. I'm the current president of the homeowners association for Hidden Lake Estates. We recently had a meeting and the whole neighborhood discussed this. We brought up the LDR rezoning. The neighborhood was in favor of the LDR. That way it's they did happen to sell the property, would revert back to its previous zoning, so that we didn't have to worry about another business moving in behind them,
Okay.
since it would already be rezoned for that. And also, it was brought up that as long as it's not a commercial business license, that the neighborhood would be able to do a variance for the dogs. We were just concerned that, we didn't want to have 100 animals down on the property. But since they've assured us it's a hobby breeders, they won't have that many animals, that we were, the neighborhood was in favor of the LDR and just not a commercial breeder's license.
So what we're hearing, you and the neighborhood are in favor of LDR.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Do you have a list of who you represent, who you're speaking for, or how many of the residents out there?
I had a list at the previous meeting, and I did leave it. I did not bring them this time. I came straight from work. I apologize.
But
I'm a little prepared this morning.
But you are representing the people who live out there?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, because I've gotten calls from some people who live out there and they were not in favor of the LDR. So it's just confusing to me. So,
Everyone we spoke to at the meeting, Thursday night, I'm sorry, I apologize, Thursday night, was in favor. Now, I do say that not everyone was there, but by email or phone call, we have not had any negatives towards the LDR. As long as they don't want a permanent rezoning, and they do not
yeah,
want
they definitely said they didn't want a permanent rezoning,
and they
but
do not want a commercial business run on the street. I mean, it's a single lane dirt road, extra traffic, and and it is a county maintained road, so it's already difficult enough to keep it up as it is. But with the provisions we spoke about with the cooks on Thursday night, and everyone got to ask them questions, and everyone was notified to attend, and no one voiced any concerns as long as it wasn't a permanent rezoning. And
you
we
were
were gonna have
I mean, as president, you're selected by the residents to represent them. I mean,
yes, ma'am. They talked about a variance for any of the covenants that may be in question, to do a variance for the cooks in order to do this, as long as it was the LDR and a non-commercial license.
Thank you. Any other commissioners?
So at the bottom of the issue paper, there were 8 recommended conditions. The only thing that was not quite clear was what the board wants to allow. Limiting the number of dogs on the site currently says 5 adults. Limit the number of litters. Some places said 1 to 2 over a 12-month period. Even the pet dealer's license requires, it says, it just says if they sell more than 1 litter, they have to get a pet license, and I think they've already got that for you. So what the board would need to do is determine how many adult dogs, how many litters during the 12-month period. And if you choose to rezone it, I think those 2 things need to be added. But I would also add the other provisions, the LDR with a special use, compliance with all local, state, federal regulations. Special use for hobby breeding only applies to the current owners, is not transferable to new owners. The owners would have to make their own separate application. And again, a provision, should they cease operation of the hobby breeding, stop for a while, the special use provision would expire. They'd have to come back, and they could not have employees coming to the home to work, and they've got to obtain the Meriwether County business license.
I have a couple of questions for Ms. Cook. How old are the current animals that you have?
They range from 15 months to 6 years.
And that's all 10 of them.
Yes.
Now, the next question is, after breeding, do you retire those animals and keep them as pets, or what happens to
No,
those?
sir.
once
I
you
have a
retire?
long list of people who want adult dogs. Howard's sister has taken one. I have a list of about 5 more people that will take my breeding stock. Some people don't want to raise puppies.
Right.
And so I just ship them the dog.
The reason I was asking is, if you were to retire those after breeding and have them as your own personal pets, I didn't want to see those animals to be given up or away from you and retire it. And then at that point, have 5 according to our ordinance. So that's why I was asking that.
Right.
Because it's hard to give those animals away once you've had them. But if that's how you do it, then that's fine. That's what I
Yes.
needed to know.
Got it.
Any other commissioners? Hearing none, do I have a motion to go out of public hearing?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. We are out of public hearing at 9:20. All right, what is the pleasure of the board?
Well, this is in my district, and as I said, I have talked with some of the residents who live out there. All I have to go by today is Mr. Norris saying he represents the people out there. The conversations I've had, they were not in favor of rezoning, period. But, I mean, they're not here to speak with us, and he is their representative. So if he says that they're in agreement with the change to the LDR, I'll make a motion to change to LDR with the special conditions. And I think it ought to be 2 litters per year.
Do
That's
we-
what we discussed at our last meeting. That was typically under hobby breeding.
About
we-
the
Number of
dogs.
adult dogs?
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Our ordinance says 5.
um, I mean,
Right.
you have 5 adults, you expect, and, I mean, is the plan for them to have a litter each year? I mean, or how do you, I mean, I don't know. I mean, why do you have the 5 if you're gonna have 2 litters? But
So you
like-
have someone that would take the additional adult dogs to bring you down to the 5
No,
minimal for our ordinance?
no.
That's our ordinance already.
Right.
The 5, so I don't think I mean, we're not changing our ordinance at this point.
Butch, didn't Kathy talk to, I asked her the same question, and she's not here, so she did talk to animal control about that ordinance, and they were okay with the number. But again, nobody's here to verify that.
But the animal control doesn't have a say over the ordinance, though. I mean, they could bring us a recommendation or suggest something, but they don't set the ordinance or change that. And
The provisions for increasing the number are section 3221. And it says, of course, you gotta have a written application. And there must be exceptional and extraordinary circumstances. The waiver will not confer to any special privilege that are not, that are denied to others. It cannot be injurious to the neighborhood, does not violate county ordinance, zoning ordinance. And the applicant can demonstrate a special need to house animals in greater number. And some examples of this is participation in licensed animal rescue or use of animals for therapeutic or other purposes, or the emergency care for pets owned by other people. And so that's the provision. So it's pretty narrow on what you can extend that for.
I mean, I don't think we have any choice but to hold what our ordinance is at this point. So it would be, the 5 adult dogs, and if we want to allow the 2 litters, that would be my motion.
Board's heard the motion. Do we have a second?
I'd second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. All right, next item is item number 8, unfinished business. Item number 1, appointment to Water and Sewage Authority District 4, and I will say that mine completely fell through, so I do not have anyone for that appointment at this time.
Mr. Chair, since you don't have anybody at this time, and this is an authority, I'll make a motion you fill the slot on an interim basis until we can find somebody.
I will do that on an interim basis. We have a motion to appoint me as interim on the Water and Sewage Authority. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. I didn't vote. I did not vote.
And, I mean, I know you're trying to find somebody out of your district, but I have somebody, I mean, they wouldn't be in your district, somebody we might could talk about. If
Okay.
you're interested in that. I mean, I know you'd like to keep it within the
Right.
district, but
All right, thank you.
And also, Mr. Chair, I also have someone who's shown some interest too. I think you all have met him. That's Mr. Sargent, Gary Sargent. So we will provide you with his resume as well.
Yeah, I want to keep it in my area as much as possible.
Yeah.
Understand, but-
Sometimes
we
it
all-
just doesn't work
Yeah,
out.
it just doesn't work,
Right.
but, you know, if we got people with certain expertise,
I agree.
it's an option.
Thank you. Item number 2, appointment to the Recreation Advisory Board to fill an unexpired term representing the Board of Education. Have we heard anything?
Still have not heard anything from the superintendent. What I'll probably do is reach out to him.
Okay. Hearing that, do I have a motion to table item number 2 under unfinished business?
Motion to table.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Item is tabled. Item number 3, appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill an unexpired term that will end on January 5th, 2022.
Mr. Chair, I have been looking, and I made the last appointment to that. But this thing's open. It's one of those 3-member boards. If somebody's got a person they would like to bring, that would be fine. But at this time, if you don't have anybody, I just move with table for next time.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
I have a motion to table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Item is tabled.
Mr. Chairman, how much comment on that?
Sure.
This is the one that we were talking about. They really never meet,
Right.
right?
About once a year, maybe.
I mean, is it something that is necessary that we have? I mean, you know, it's hard enough to get people to serve, and a lot of people who serve, they really want to serve.
Right.
And if you, then you put them on something that doesn't do anything,
That's,
you know?
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we can talk about it later, or,
Is that a required board?
The way it's written down in the ordinance it is, but I do think that the ordinances involving such things came about before we had planning staff. What I would recommend we do is to take a look at it, and we're gonna have to do some changes to our ordinance we can go forward. And since that board rarely ever meets, we might be able to take some of their duties, responsibilities, and give those back over to the staff. Sometimes, for example, they may provide for a waiver of a setback or something. And if we can limit that within, and give Butch and the staff a opportunity to take care for, you know, within certain parameters, then you won't even have to need this board. So my suggestion would be is we look at the codes and tweaking it. We look and see if that.
well, let's do, because like I said, like, it's hard enough for us to get people on some of these boards, and then get something and they never do anything, so.
If they agree to serve, they want to serve.
Most of them do, want to, they actually want to be involved, you know.
Mr. Chair, is there any way we can get a full, written explanation of what it is that this board will be doing until we tweak it, so that when you do ask people, you can kind of give them a general idea versus what we verbally say?
Right, because I couldn't
So
tell you.
much- Yeah, it's so much, and so do we have something in writing? If not, can we get something in writing?
Sure, it's
That
in
is
the
correct.
code.
It's in the code,
It's in the code,
Okay.
explaining the duties and responsibilities and it.
so I can go online and pull it up?
You can, or we can
Okay.
get you a copy.
That would be
I
awesome.
think, Mr. Gay, what we were talking about a while ago, if we look at we already have the Board of Assessors. This board would only come into play if they didn't give satisfaction to the person here. And then they still got the court system over here. So this is almost just a middle position.
It is a position, and there's a couple of appeal boards. One is related to tax implications. This particular one is related to variances in the zoning. So that's what this one is. So we really haven't had any issues that have come before them in terms of any requests for anything unusual that our staff couldn't handle. That's why there's no, there's been no meetings. There just hasn't been a need. And so.
And when would you say the last time this board has met?
I don't think they've met since I've been here. Butch, have they met since you?
Years.
It's just.
You're talking years.
Years.
All right, well, I think like Commissioner Hines said, maybe we just need a little better understanding of what they do. If to ask anybody, then let's certainly look at it and see if it's something we need to keep.
Right, and you said it's in our ordinance that the board exists.
Yes.
So maybe we do need to look at that, and I don't even know if it would be a possibility to have an ordinance stating in an emergency situation to appoint a board of appeals. And that way we just don't have people sitting out there waiting to do this. If it is an emergency, then we have that right to go back in. I don't know how that would work.
This board can grant variance, you don't have to have, a board of zoning appeals is usually to help. It depends on the jurisdiction, some they have the power to grant, others they are recommending, by most cities and counties prefer to keep the actual
Right.
variance power with this elected body. And it comes to this board in the way of recommendation only, so there's no legal requirement that you have a board of zoning appeals.
Okay.
So,
But there is a legal requirement that you have a variance process.
Right.
okay, so that's what I was gonna ask. So it's just another process to give those citizens another means to have their voice brought or whatever.
It's really a way to try to streamline getting it before this board in most places, but y'all don't have enough zoning going on right now that's a problem, as I see it.
Okay, but when you talk about growth down the road, as Commissioner Chairman has stated, it may be something that we can bring about in an emergency, not necessarily an emergency situation.
I mean, y'all, if it's an emergency situation, you're not gonna have time to
Right.
constitute a board, have that board, it'd be faster just to bring it before this.
Bring
board.
before us, yeah.
I mean, cause y'all have to have a meeting to appoint the board.
Right.
Then that board would have to meet, and then they'd have to address the variance, and then I don't remember there, you know, this whole thing. I imagine the board of zoning appeals doesn't have the authority to grant variances, do they?
I think here they have a limited authority.
Okay, well, whatever it is,
Right.
but that's not gonna address the emergency.
And I didn't know how to say it.
I know what you mean,
Right.
but yeah, this board could, instead of constituting it, this board can just do variances.
You know, my concern and issue with that board and planning commission board, which we struggle with sometimes as well, you add an extra 30 days to the process. So if somebody's trying to get a zoning hearing heard, it adds 30 days. We come in and we present it. Butch presented some things, Monday night. It'll come to you guys at your last meeting of the month. But in the meantime, it's just sitting there. And, you know, my thought's always been, why not just bring it here to start with,
Right.
have the public hearing, and let you guys make a decision, as opposed to having to go through, you know, one more step of your right.
Or if there's not a quorum, then your citizens are gonna be very upset
Right.
that they have to wait another.
30 days. Mhm,
Okay.
Because they can't do business without a quorum, just like y'all can do business.
mhm.
Well, we're gonna be looking, Butch and I actually gonna be working, so maybe later this week, looking at some of the ordinances and related to lot sizes and other things. And we'll pull both of those boards out and see what their interaction is and what's the we bring back. We get Nathan to look at it and see how we could, you know, make that work a little better.
But like Beth said, it's so hard to get people to do, and especially when you have a board that really never meets, we need to look at those things. All right. Thank y'all. Any other commissioner? All right, we'll move on to the next item, and that is new business. Item number 1, request approval of a right of entry on Mark and Peggy Mangum property off of Parkman Pond Road.
So commissioners, we've been down and visited with Mark. He has a issue with a pond that's located above his property. Last time I was out, I noticed that there was a cross drain coming off of the county property, county roadway, and it was draining and dropping down and creating some erosion in Mark, in his yard, and it running down his pond. So it is off of our right of way on his property. So we had talked to him about filling out a right of entry to allow us to come in one time and fix that. And we mailed it to them, and they have signed it and returned it. And so we would ask you guys to authorize acceptance of this and allow us to go and make that one-time repair. It's really going to be a matter of putting some stone in the outfall of the pipe that'll kind of prevent further erosion. So it's a fair minor job, but it is over on their side of the property.
All right, thank you. Any commissioners have any statements, concerns? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept or authorize the acceptance as stated by Mr. Gay?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Item number 2, Wellstar Occupational Medicine Client Services Agreement.
Chairman, this is picking back up with some revisions that we had already brought to talk about the, setting up our wellness program for the employees. And, we would recommend, approval.
And is that for the chair to sign?
Right, yes, sir.
Hearing that from Mr. Gay, do we have a motion to approve the Wellstar Occupational Medicine Client Services Agreement and allow the chair to sign?
Motion to approve and allow the chair to sign.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, confirm reappointments to the Meriwether County Hospital Authority.
Sure, Commissioners, we were talking about groups that may not meet very often, but their appointments are a little unusual per state law. That's where the hospital authority comes into play. Hospital authority by law has extended terms. They also, in terms of appointment, the Board of Commissioners has to, if you're looking to appoint a new member, you have to provide them with 3 names. They get to either select for those names, or they don't have to select. They could ask for a second set of names. But what we have here is just a hospital authority board that, I think they still meet regularly, but they have not been reappointed in a long time. And they're just asking, I talked to Bob Patterson about it, and we have Bob Patterson and Alan Moore, who is a doctor. And we have Jim Maybon, and we have Alan Thompson, who is a doctor. And the law says you would like to be able to fill the positions with doctors or nurses or somebody in the medical field. So what we would recommend is that the board just really simply reappoint the existing hospital authority members. And
And there are only 4 of those.
4 of those, I need to look back at the law. I think there needs to be a 5th one, but there's only 4 of them right now.
I thought there were 5 that time you and I met with them. I'm pretty sure there were.
I think Dr. Lambert was on it, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
So I may ask them to come back with a recommendation of a.
Because there was always like a citizen on there too.
Right.
But I believe Dr. Lambert was on it at the time.
Yeah, looking back at the law, I think it says there needs to be 5.
Dr. Cunningham was on
and
it
no,
at one time
no
too.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
But he was on it when we went. But Bob and Jim Maybon would be citizens.
Yeah,
Yes.
Bob's been on it forever.
So do we need to confirm the reappointments today, or do we need to wait till they bring us the 5th?
I'd say go ahead and confirm these reappointments, and then we'll look at bringing the 5th back.
Okay.
And
Any commissioners have any questions, statements? Hearing none, do we have a motion to confirm the reappointments of the 4 individuals stated by Mr. Gay with the intent of bringing back the 5th recommendation from the board for a later approval?
So moved.
All right, have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Item number 4, request quitclaim deed on a section of abandoned road at the industrial park.
Chairman, Commissioners, this is a little section of road we had the public hearing on. It's the area where you come out and there was a realignment of County Line Road and they can 90-degree. And part of it is over on to another property owner. And they have asked for that we simply give them a quitclaim deed. It's already shown on the property records, et cetera. But to just have a really clear title, they wanted to ask us for a quitclaim deed. The quitclaim deed is in your packet, and it will transfer from the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners to the 8 Irma LLC. And again, it's a quitclaim deed. It's not conveying anything other than just, I guess, saying we don't have any rights to it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept as stated by Mr. Gay?
So moved.
We accept the quitclaim deed with the chair
Second.
sign.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Item number 5. Yeah, you did. We'll catch you up later.
Okay.
You're talking behind me, Beth.
Item number
Hey,
5.
this is mass.
That's right. Consideration of vested rights, Daisy Acre subdivision, Mr. Gay.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Butch might want to he may have something to add to this as well. We had a request for the developer to move forward with Daisy Acres subdivision. This subdivision was platted, subdivision was platted back in 2006, 2007. And it's about 28 acres or so. It is off of Possum Trot, which is off of
Primrose.
Primrose Road. Okay. And this was the plat that they provided. They also came in and they got permits from the county, grading, land disturbance. We're moving forward, put this on file, had everything ready to go. Actually ran water, I think, to the subdivision. And then, of course, the economy went south. And they just put the project on hold. And now they want to get the project back open and going forward. They have agreed, although I would say, and Nathan can tell it better this, I think they were working under the ordinance as it existed in 2007 to 2008. So they could contend, well, that's where we are, and we want to do it just like you had then, with no provision for paving the dirt road, no provision for the increased asphalt thickness and everything. But that's not what they really want to do. They said they would be willing to pave the dirt road up to the entrance of their subdivision to our new specifications. And also that they would be willing to pave all the streets in the subdivision with rollback curb guttering and to our new standards, which are substantially higher than they were. And the only difference they've got here in what would be simply allowed today is the lots at that time were allowed to be an acre or less. And so they have lots in here that a lot of them are an acre. They range from an acre up to like 1.44 acres or something like that.
Something like that.
And so what they're asking is, hey, consideration of the board recognizing and agreeing to the vested rights on the development. And again, Nathan can speak a lot better than I can, but I know historically we viewed vested rights as the ability of the developer to be able to determine that they have spent a substantial time, money, and effort in the development, relying on the ordinances at that time. And we looked at this. They've spent about $70,000+ they told me on this so far. And they're willing to pave the dirt road. They're willing to put in the new specs. They would just like to have the board recognize that the 1 acre lots would be allowable and were allowable at the time of the planning.
What will be the square footage of the houses?
The square footage of the houses would be whatever our minimum is today. That would be the minimum, which is
1375.
1375. I would imagine they're going to be bigger than that. I really haven't talked to them about the house sizes. But whatever was in the code, and I think they'll build the houses probably bigger than that. Most people today.
But this contractor will not be building houses.
No, this contractor will be selling lots, yes.
And that's heated space, 1375. And then also, if I can add to Mr. Barron, all these roads were graded back in the day. So that you can see the roads, they were graded. They've grown back up in some pine trees, and they had actually started grading some of the lots. And they've also agreed to put a cul-de-sac in at the entrance on the dirt road for emergency services in case they need to turn around, not go into the subdivision.
We talked, I forgot about that.
So will these lots have septic or sewer?
Septic.
They have county water or well?
It'll be public water. They've already run water almost to their property. There's a fire hydrant a couple hundred feet there, right to their property. But they're running water to it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
this is in my district, and I want to say this, I am 100% for growth, definitely home growth, but I have some concerns. And maybe I need clarity on procedure as well. Normally, when you get a preliminary plat in, it's normally good for 12 months or a year. I know in our new ordinance, it says any action hasn't been taken within 12 months, you have to just submit it and do it all over again. So I'm not sure what was in our previous ordinance that addressed that. Maybe someone can share that with me. But under normal circumstances, is it something that's 15 years old that you can bring back and say you're vested? Or I'm just trying to get clarity on that. I am for the development. I'm not against the development. I'm really wanting to understand how we as a board and how Theron and his team and people from this office spent so much time helping develop a subdivision ordinance that would allow us to stay, be a part of our comprehensive plan and allow us for our growth, that we're going to now make possibly exception. That's not, it's just being asked to do one. And I just want to get a clarity on what is our process. I know we can make some exceptions. The other thing I'm concerned about is how many more of these preliminary plots may be out there that we may not be aware. We don't know. And so once again, whatever we decide to do will set a presence on later on. I understand of paving the road. And you're saying that the water line, isn't this in the city of Lucasville is offering the water, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't it service delivery? And the water line goes up to where?
The water line right now is almost to the corner of their property.
So it's on, the water line goes up Possum Trail?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can see the fire hydrant when you go up through there. It's kind of sitting in the woods.
Okay. And you also stated that we were working this roads, because when you and I went out there, when I looked at it, I never could see where there were, I see where they just cleared it, but you're saying it was actually roadage? There was a path?
Yes, ma'am. Those roads, if you walk on in there, all those roads have been cut years ago.
Okay.
To show the answer, I think, correct me. I think if you came in 2008, you said, hey, here's my preliminary plat. Then, and that's all you do. You don't have any vested rights in my opinion. If you come and say, here's my preliminary plat, and you go out and you spend $70,000 running water, getting the lots ready, etc. I think that's where your vested rights comes in far more than just a plat. Because I agree with you, you can put a plat on file and never develop. But that is apparently not what they did. And when the economy took a downturn, they moved on to the other things. And I think they owned some of the adjoining properties, so they just didn't do anything with it for a while. I think that's the difference, and I don't really think it's an exception to your rule, because I'd rather not, would not recommend exceptions to y'all's rules. But I think this was establishment of a right prior to the enactment of those rules.
Okay.
Nathan, did you?
You said it right. I mean, there's not a black and white line on what's vested or not. It's a factual determination. Okay. And it essentially is if a landowner has made a substantial change in position based upon the expectation of getting a building permit, then they have vested rights. So in this case, you would find yourself in court, the developer would come in and say, hey, look, I applied, I got my plat, it was approved, it was legal. I went out and spent $70,000, put in roads, I ran water, judge, I'm vested. I don't need to sue the judge. I mean, right now it's your decision, but I mean, there's no like murder is illegal. I mean, it's not like that. I mean, the question is, it's just like if you grant somebody rezoning and they're gonna get ready to develop it, and then a year and a half later, y'all decide you don't like that, you try to rezone it on them, and they're gonna say, no, I've got vested rights because you approved it. I went out and spent money getting ready to develop. So that's the rationale behind. It's not an exception to your rule. It's a thing in state law as to whether or not they have acquired vested rights.
So the vested right is, so I can have, I'm trying to get clarity here. It's nothing to do with the fact that you submitted a preliminary plat and whether it was 12 months or what, but you're saying that after you submitted that, you went in and did some work.
Only if that work you did, for example, if you went out and bought a piece of property that was zone residential and you hired somebody to build a convenience store and you had grading done to build a convenience store, you started building a convenience store, you don't acquire vested rights because the convenience store was never allowed in a residential district. However, if you get a property zone residential, you apply to build whatever number of lots are allowed under that zoning at the time, and then you try to execute on that. That's how one acquires vested rights. So you can't acquire them if the end game would never been legal in the first place. But here they're saying, look, I went in, y'all allowed this at the time, and I spent the money, and I got a plat. So that's what y'all are looking at.
And there's 29 lots there. That's a lot of tax.
So I do have one other thing. And I was just looking up, trying to get some, so it says it's a total of 36.17 acres and 28 lots.
29.
It says 28. lots.
Some of the paperwork says 28, but the plans have 29.
29,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
that means after it's preliminary, so then if this is approved, then you have to come with your final preliminary based on our new standards and everything, and then is that, which one gets filed? So your preliminary get filed or your final plat?
The final plat. The final plat gets approved, and then that's at the time on the final plat that all the infrastructure, water lines, the stormwater lines, everything in the right of way is dedicated to the county as assets.
Okay. And the other thing I want to ask, it says the project, during the time that this was not being used or proposed, I was able to find that, does it have any exemptions on it, or is this property in conservation or anything like that? Do we know? Or does it make a difference?
Could be if you're gonna develop a subdivision. you
Right.
qualify for conservation.
Right.
So maybe in the research I did, and I'll verify it, but from 2017 to 207 to 217, it wasn't conservation. And then I think it was reapplied for. So if it's currently in there, would that make a difference?
I will get with Mr. Underwood and check to see.
If it's currently in, if they
Reaching
break
it.
it up and sell lots, it breeds that covenant.
Yeah, they can do it, they just have to pay a pretty substantial amount.
Right.
Can that be confirmed before, or do we have to make a decision today, or what's the deal?
No, I think we need to know that. If it's in conservation, I think that's
But I
something.
mean, even if y'all approve it, if it's in a conservation,
Right.
that's totally separate.
He-
No matter what it's.
He would have to pay in order to do
You
it.
put in a covenant
Okay.
with the state.
Right.
That's purely a taxation.
Okay,
covenant.
okay.
So y'all don't get rid of the covenant
Right.
because you approved this.
Okay.
But if they want to break that covenant with and pay them, what, 3 times the savings or whatever the fine
Mhm.
is, that's between them and the state government.
Okay.
But in the meantime, so.
Y'all can't override.
Okay, I mean, that's fine. So the bottom line right now is this individual has made a $70,000 investment by roads, water initially, and that's the vested part that we're talking about, that they've put into this project.
Well, I mean, that's what I would anticipate that would be their position. Is they would say, we came and we got this plat approved, and it was legal and we got it approved, and based upon that approval, we spent this much money. So we believe we're entitled to vested rights.
I have to say,
Before a judge makes that decision, y'all get to make that decision.
I'm glad to see that they would be willing to do the roads, pave the dirt road and do the subdivision roads up to our standards, because that, I mean, like I said, it's gonna be a substantial more,
Well, if you go into court, I
Money.
would assume they would say, we're not doing any of that.
yeah. I mean, if they wouldn't have to, I mean, if it's proven they're vested, they wouldn't have to.
That's
but
correct.
I'm just glad to see they're willing to do that.
Right.
That's correct, yeah. That should not weigh into the judge's decision or yours.
Mhm.
What
Okay.
they're doing, sure it does, but that's not part of the vested rights
Yeah.
analysis. They either have them or they don't.
But they are willing to do this.
They are willing to, no, they can certainly do it if they're willing to.
Right.
I'm just saying, while now they're willing to, I don't know if they will be
Later.
later.
And when this was brought to me, that was the first thing when I opened it up and I looked at, that I talked with them about. And right off the bat, they didn't argue with me a bit. I said, y'all gonna have to pave this road. Y'all gonna have to pave Possum Trot. And they said, fine. didn't argue a bit. And that's going to bring us the subdivision standards up to our current standards as far as the roads and all
And
that.
the written part does show 28 lots, but there are clearly 29 lots there,
Right.
so.
There's 28 on here. So the only thing that this proposal will do is for our current ordinance is the size of the lots.
Only difference in,
That's as far as our current subdivision ordinance is the size of the lot.
that's the only.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I can add a little something to this for y'all, having developed for about 5 years before I come here with a national builder company, I developed a lot of lots like this that we bought in South Fulton, Villa Rica, Douglasville, all those counties. And when we bought a subdivision, it was actually less work done to this, basically, but there was work done. The county or the city actually did the same thing that they're asking us to do. If we bought a piece of property, as Mr. Nathan said, and no work had been done, and we bought it, we had a set of plans, we had to update our plans, turn in a whole new set, go through the whole review process.
This happened a lot right after the recession when all these developers.
I can see that.
The bank would take lots over and then the bank would sell them and then that developer would come in and say, look, I know your ordinance has changed since code, whatever, but we're vested. They would ask the city or the county, whichever the case may be, for that.
Yeah, and in 2008, like you said, it did happen. This was in 2007, 2006. But, once again, my main concern is we've spent so much working on upgrading our ordinance. And I'm for the growth. I mean, I'm not against this project. I just want to make sure that as we come up with our policies, and as you stated earlier, nothing is black and white. There is some gray area. Is that we're setting not a presence as far as how often this may come back up again. So, I mean, I'm glad you know.
And I'll say, I'm glad it didn't happen back then because now our square footage is higher than it used to be. So that's going to bring that further up than it would have had it done back then. We're going to have actual piped in water there, and we'll have everything paved on top of it. I think it's a win-win, in my personal opinion.
Increase in tax base,
Right.
Your boost.
amen.
All right, those were my main concerns and my questions that I had in reference to this.
Any other commissioners? What do we need to do on this?
Probably just take a vote to confirm, recognition. That's right. That's right.
Hearing that, do I have a motion?
Well, I move we recognize the vested rights of the contractor.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Item number 6, discussion of Greenville Fire Station and different construction options.
At meeting before last, you guys asked to take a look at, instead of using a steel structure, would it be less expensive if we used concrete block and the wooden framing? And we talked with the gentleman that's managing the construction for us, and he said there might have been a time when it was, but not today. The cost of materials and lumber is so high. Plus, then you have to have the sheathing, fire rated. I think that's $55 for a sheet. And we would have to also include a sprinkler system. So, my recommendation would be simply that we just move forward with the steel construction.
Oh, okay.
I think your recommendation is still gonna be the cheapest.
Steel's gonna be the cheapest, pretty substantial.
So do we need to make a motion to move forward with the original? Here are the recommendations from Mr. Gay. We have a motion to move forward with the original plans and materials.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second, all in favor? Motion, you were recommending those?
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm all for it. I was reading something else here, Mr. Ray.
All right, item number 7, approval to move forward with survey and engineering of Greenville Recreation Park.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we've worked, done a lot of work to support the recreation park and the grant, a $200,000 grant. And we are certainly still in the running. We are down to our last, our last lap of this thing. And we have done in-house all the engineering and all of the surveying and all that we could do. So now we really are going to have to go out and we're going to have a boundary survey, a 25-acre tract. We're going to need some topo to a level of 2-foot contours. That will allow for the design. And then we're going to need to move forward with some engineering on that, which will lay out the drainage and what our plans are. I met with an engineer last week who they do a lot of recreation engineering, and the time frame for all of this and everything else we've got to put together, which is verification of all the items we've listed, like restrooms and playground equipment, et cetera, is April the 30th. Has to be postmarked by then. This has been a little bit unusual grant. They'll talk to you on Wednesday and tell you it's due by Friday. So we spent 2 or 3 Friday afternoons rushing to the post office at 4:30 to get these things postmarked. So, but I really need to move forward with the survey, boundary survey, contours, and then I need to get some engineering. I'll bring the engineering.
So the survey and the topo and the engineering is all going to be additional cost on top of the 200,000 match.
That's right. Yes, sir. Guy asked that question the other day.
We know how much?
I would say we're looking at maybe 20 to 25 for both.
Mr. Chairman and to Theron, is that money available through our splosh?
Yes, but we had committed 200,000 to it in terms of match and some in-kind service. So, it would be, I know Bill always says to say, because people reach in that direction a lot. And
But we had listed recreation under our SPOS though.
we did have recreation.
Right,
It's
but that's where the
listed.
200,000 is coming from.
So that's what I'm asking, where's the difference?
So now it's going to be an
coming from?
additional 25.
It'll have to come out of SPOS, so that's the area we've got to pull from. And I asked the grant people if it could be utilized, so we could,
Could it be
count
subtracted
that
out of
as
that?
25.
Yeah.
They said, no, you can't do that. Anyway, so, if we can accomplish
It goes towards our match, though.
they won't let it go toward,
They won't let it go toward the match.
won't let it go toward.
Was this something that I guess you just recently found out, so it was not part of the initial conversation when we applied, they didn't let us know? I know,
Well, ultimately they were. What I was hoping was that they would let it be, as Bill said.
Part of the match.
But they told me, no, you can't do that. Because we have to have this up front. You can't spend any money until they approve it. And we can't get them to approve it
until we do
until
this.
we spend this money. And maybe we could,
You said if you do this, there's still a chance we won't get the grant.
it's possible. I think we're very competitive, but that is
We're in the second phase of it though, right?
right, we're moving to the third phase.
We're in the third phase, so that's a good sign.
We've got one, and then we completed 2. And we filed for we did this in-house, we filed for a SHPO review. And that was what we did in-house.
And we asked them that the grant be 175 with a match of 175.
Well, I would think that if we could produce it, maybe we put a little more in-kind service into it. And maybe we could absorb that cash.
Because even if by some chance we didn't get the grant, I think we would at least try to
Right.
apply again,
Right.
and this could be used.
Could be
Right.
used. And then
If we
have
get it
all the
done, we'd
data.
have it done.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
So-
wasted.
And the cycle on this is what, does this come out every year, or this was a special DNR grant?
I think Mary said yearly.
Yeah.
I think she said yearly too.
I think it is.
Yeah.
And the fact that we got in, we 200,000, we put a good little bit of work into it up to this point. And, but we're just at a point where we just can't proceed any further.
Yeah.
Miss Mary's on. Miss Mary, unmute yourself if you can. Jessica, see if she remembered, sorry. I don't see her unmuting. All right, but I do think she said annually.
I think she did too.
And I feel, I mean, with these items, I feel really good that it's gonna happen.
Okay.
All right. So do we just need to
Just
approve to move forward with the survey and the engineering? All right. Do I have a motion?
proposals.
So moved.
Have a motion, to have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Motion carries. Item number 8, request for operation, or request discussion, I guess, for operation interference, whatever you said.
And, you know, I'm sorry to bring this up at last minute, but, you know, we had some more things that occurred yesterday. And, I also do not like to try to create controversy, but I tell you, we had some more things that happened yesterday that was just the latest in a series of things that really, really bothers me. And we really need to, change this, and I really need y'all's help in trying to do this. It's really an issue that's become just a roadblock for things that we are trying to do in county operations. And we have one office it's an elected official office, and everything we do that is in that building or happens to be near that space, we end up having to have the sheriff's office there. We end up with just a fiasco and being ordered out and all these other things. I have made you guys aware of some of the things. We started out in December with demanded resolutions that were required, they were said were required by law. They were not required by law, but we were told they were mandatory. And, you know, so we had threats and everything back and forth on that. You guys are also aware of the sideshow that was created by the demands and the threats to move the postage machine today. I've got numerous emails where demanding, I'm going to move it today, etc. That machine was not our machine. It was owned by Pitney Bowes. It's a sensitive measuring instrument that measures postage weight. And we ended up agreeing, even though it was like $8,000, I think, or so, money, a little more. We ended up agreeing to move it, have everybody notified. Well, when they come to move it, when time coming to move it, we realized there were some old records that were just thrown in an office next door to Butch's office. And so we offered to help try to move those. But instead, we got refusal to unlock the office where we could move the machine in there away from the office that wanted it moved. So I want it moved, but I don't want to cooperate with giving y'all a key. We had to actually access it with, you know, by just jimmying the lock open, and we moved the records. Okay. Earlier that day, we had an issue where we had offered to have, again, we provided notice, we offered to have our inmate crew go down and help move those boxes if they wanted help. They went inside, were told, no, we don't want any boxes moved. They go outside and start to take down Christmas lights on the outside of a county building. And what they get is someone coming out and screaming, calling the police, make an attempt to, you know, make an attempt to have the guard arrested and raise such an issue. And I mean, it was, you know, out on the street. In order to keep that prison crew here, which I know Miss Shirley had worked this point very hard to get, I had to write a letter and commit to the Harris County Warden that we would not allow that crew to work in or near the tax commissioner's office in the future. And to me, that's a real embarrassment to Meriwether County. We've also have situations where there's threats and been very rude to our county staff who are just trying to do their job. And I see this regularly. I saw this yesterday, and it really angers me when we get that. I've seen some of the emails with the finance and everybody else. And yesterday we had, again, another issue. Skip had made arrangements to have a contractor come in and pull new internet cable, right? And we're trying to rewire the building, get new upgraded internet. So he had sent out a notice that that was going to be the case. They would be in the building, needed access to the closet and all there to get it. Well, I get a call from Butch. Butch is here about, I don't know, can't remember, it was before lunch because I had a meeting at dinner that I was heading in, and indicating that the guys that were down pulling the cable had been run out of that side of the building. And Butch, you correct me if I'm wrong, they were actually in your office pulling the cable when someone came in and started yelling at them, just burst into your office, yelling at them rudely, telling them, you're not coming back to my side of the building or what. So then in order to try to maybe, see if we could come to reason in terms with it, Butch and Skip and I talked, and we had a representative from the sheriff's office. And we went down just to see and explain, look, we're not doing anything other than running cable through the ceiling. That's all we're doing. Does not interfere with your operation, does not interfere with anything in your office. In fact, we are moving the connectivity that's been in that office over to another location where Skip could access it. Because right now we're locked out of that. We have no access. So we went down to try to, reason. And again, we're told, nope, you're not coming in here. What we want is, I want to see the work order, and I want to see the authorization. I want to see what we're paying these people. Well, I don't think we owe that person that.
I don't either.
This is ridiculous. We don't have we go to the courthouse and work. The elected officials over there don't demand where we work and not work and when we work, and they don't demand to see that before they before they allow people to continue. This is something that just goes on. And we also continue to demand with a security code to the security system in that building. Okay. And, we've said, look, the security goes into the other hallways. Well, just disconnect them. We don't care. I don't care. Just disconnect them. And we heard that yesterday. And, those folks deserve security every bit as much as that office.
Right.
And we have even offered to assist the office with installation of a small security system where she can monitor it to her heart's content. But that doesn't seem to be an option. And I would say that system would likely cost us less than she spent on frosting the front door of the office where you can't look in. She was also very rude to Skip. And the more I looked at that, the more I looked at the email and got back, the madder it made me. She found his behavior unacceptable. And he wasn't respecting her. And I'm telling you, you can't get along with Skip. You can't get along with anybody. Skip has bent over backwards, and I would never talk to her employees like that, and I don't expect her in the future to talk to our employees like that.
Well, Mr. Guy, I want to say, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to say in reference to that, I read that email and I agree 100% because here's what I hear continuously from this particular office. I don't work for the county. I don't work for the county. I don't work for the county. Well, understand our county employees don't work for you. So any issue that you have, my personal feeling is that needs to be addressed to Mr. Gay. You have no right to address a county employee at all. And I want that on the record. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Anyway, again, why she found Skip's behavior, as she put it, unacceptable. What I find unacceptable is that she continues to interfere with county projects, and also the tone and the manner that she uses when she's addressing our county employees. Again, as the chairman said, Skip doesn't work for her, and he doesn't need to have her approval to complete various tasks in a county-owned building. And I'm kind of sick and tired of the games that are constantly played because they're impacting taxpayers. Her actions are also very disruptive in our day-to-day operations. And we spent a lot of time trying to resolve issues that she's manufactured when they're outside of her realm of responsibilities. What does she have to do with taking the Christmas lights down? What does she have to do with moving cables in the building? Those aren't her responsibilities. And not to mention the fact that we are constantly and have been in this entire year having to answer calls from citizens complaining because they won't answer the phone. And Allison, you've answered several this week. We've got emails. It's ongoing. And we just simply say, look, nothing we can do with it. You need to contact them. But that takes away from us as well. And we need to let her realize it is not her building and everybody doesn't work for her. And she's denied access to the public hallway. We're not asking about the interior offices. Lock them up all you want. Public hallway is what we need. And other people in the building cannot use that. And locking of that door without providing them access, and I'll have to get it checked, but I'm told it may very well be a fire hazard.
Let me say this too, because I don't want to forget about it, but I think it's astonishing that the fact that we can lock that door so no other area in that building has access to hers, but she freely feels that she can unlock it and go into other areas to say what she wants to say and then go back in her area and lock it. That's just unacceptable.
It's kind of like we're left in the jail. You know, they lock the key and we're left there. IT can't get in to do what they need to do. They have a major connectivity there. So if it goes out or something happens, we can't get in and the rest of the building's down.
Yes, that area controls the entire building.
Controls the
And
entire
all I'm
building.
trying to do is, we were yesterday, I wanted to drop 2 wires, not hook them up, nothing else. We just want to drop them in there so we could get everything ready to go.
Yes. And then, of course, our maintenance staff, if something electrical would happen after hours, they can't get in to fix it. So the building burns down or whatever, we can't fix it. The cleaning crew, which we receive complaints on, that they're only allowed in if they call and make arrangements to have the door unlocked. And, you know, they have way too much to do than to make an appointment. You know, this is not a cleaning services that comes to your house. You know, this all needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. She needs to do her job and stop interfering with what we're trying to do, and just take care of her office. My opinion, this is my opinion, is her time would be a lot better spent answering the telephones and providing the service to the citizens who are standing in line instead of constantly interfering with what we're trying to do. And also, I think it would be good if we made timely distributions of the funds. That would be a wonderful thing too. So what I'm asking the board to do is to authorize me to seek some kind of injunction or court order to prevent her from denying access to the county building and trying to interfere with any county projects that go on and include the routine maintenance in that building. We simply ask that she do her job and allow us to do ours without interference. And I've already had to spend, I've been down there 2 or 3 times just to try to reason with people. And we've been threatened to be thrown out, threatened court action.
Letters from attorneys out of the Atlanta area.
Right.
But, there has to be a checklist for IT. There has to be a checklist for the fire department. I would think that they have to check off and be able to access certain things in every part of our buildings to make sure it's to code. And that's not trying to intimidate, or that's not trying to run somebody's office. That's just a standard that we do on a daily basis in every other office in this county.
Absolutely. And we run cable. Skip goes in the sheriff's office, certainly a secure facility. You go in, do work at the courthouse. As always, we let them know, but never have we been ordered out or told. And now the cable pullers, they're going to charge us again to come back out. So we're talking about having.
Those were not our employees.
They were not
That's
our
right.
employees. And they're going to charge us a second charge for coming back out. And Pitney Bowes, we hadn't been able to get the door open, would have had to charge us another $850 to come back out. So the games are ridiculous. They cost us money, and they interfere with what we're trying to do. Yesterday, we had Skip and his crew. We had myself, Butch was there, sheriff's office was there, all trying to reason to drop 2 cable lines over into a closet. And that's just uncalled for. So I would like to, to have y'all's permission to see some kind of injunction or court action to just say enough is enough. We're not interfering with her operation. She's interfering with our operation. We don't have this problem anywhere else. We try to help. We try to do everything we can to help the various departments. And I think they'll tell you we do. We're not spying on anybody. We're not trying to do anything. We're trying to help. The success of the tax commissioner's office is our success as well.
Right.
We get to have the taxes on time, we get it collected, and we're more than willing to help. But, but we got to have that cooperative spirit, and I'm just really tired of our employees getting talked to like they get talked to. And so I'm asking for y'all's help in resolving that issue.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Gay, for sharing that in-depth information regarding the situation. Appreciate you enlightening us on that. I guess for me, I just want to get more clarity on you said injunction?
Yes, ma'am.
So what does that actually
But what I
do?
want to do is the court to order her that she cannot present access to that building for Skip when he's trying to do things. It is not her building. We're not asking to go inside her personal office after hours. We're talking about a hallway in a public building. And we need access into the hallway where he can access the closet where the internet connections come in. And we're gonna try to rearrange that. But there still will be internet connections running into that section of the building. We're not interfering with her connections to the state. We're not doing any of that. It's just a roadblock. No, I'm not going to do it. And I'm really tired of it. I'm also tired of the attitude toward these threats to,
Right.
like, if you don't get me that this afternoon.
Right.
And we're so interested in putting out these threats that really don't mean anything. Like I was given to the 16th of the month to provide her with the code. I mean, where's the written law? I don't even have the code for one. I don't want the code for two. I'm not recommending that she receive a code when it's a security system for the building, not her office. We'll help her put in her own little security system. That's what she wants to do. But no, she'd rather disconnect the other ones that are there. And I'm just really tired of it. There's no reason why we should have to put up with this on a regular basis.
Well, it's amazing that there are deadlines put forth by certain offices when money to be received is not abided by those deadlines, that we should be receiving
And
those.
those are in state law.
Right.
We were assured in emails that they were going to follow state law. Well, as of today, we still haven't received any money. We're on the what, 10th?
Today's
Should have happened on the 28th. Would be due again in 5 days. And
This is not the first time it's been late.
No.
And you don't have the record breaking it down.
Well, there are now, but they did not come in until the 23rd.
Okay, good. So all we're saying is do your job. Let us do ours. Leave us alone. Stop this ridiculous. It's like a sideshow. It was, people commenting yesterday. I've never seen anything like this.
That's what's so bad about it. It's our citizens that are hearing this as well, and the losers are our citizens.
Right.
We're paying our staff here to do things they shouldn't have to do. And I'm telling you, I've sat on this board since March of 2010. I've been through a lot of constitutional officers. Every office has changed at least once, and never, ever, ever has there been any problem. Have we always agreed? Absolutely not. But you don't have this fiasco, and I'm tired of getting the calls from the citizens because they expect us to do something, and our hands are tied. And you come by there and there's lines out the door. I mean, we're getting calls from people outside of here that can't get the paperwork that they need to carry on their business with vehicles. So you have my support to do whatever you need to do, because it is ridiculous. That email about Skip was so out of line. He does not work for her,
Right.
just like she doesn't work for us. But she has no right to say that to Skip or to anybody else, because you're giving respect when you give it.
Right.
And
But-
she doesn't respect from her emails. Now, this is emails she has copied all of us on, so we've all seen the same thing.
And we can release those to the public if they want to see it. Just
that
request them.
there's nothing respectful about it. And I'm sorry. I mean, and like I said, last thing I want is controversy, but it is an embarrassment to this county. You talk to people in other counties that are working in like offices, we are a joke
We are.
because of what's going on in that office. I'm sorry as I can be. I hate to put it out there, but I have just had it up to here.
Me too.
You know, I was in another community out of this county, and I didn't bring it up. I had two people bring up, what the heck is going
That's
on
right.
in that office? I don't even know how they know or what they had heard, but I do know that they say, well, what I heard wasn't good. And I'm like, well,
Well, when you got this many citizens that have seen it firsthand, they weren't, I mean, it wasn't just employees down there that heard that yesterday.
Right.
They're citizens. Well, they're gonna tell the next person and next and next and next. It's not good for our county at all. And like I
There's
said,
already
you know,
been video put on
yes, it has.
Facebook that from citizens that were in there. at a
So, I
particular
mean,
time.
I don't know what the issue is. It's like,
But you know, I really want this documented too. And I mean, it should be the fact that, like we said, that office is closed and nobody can come in, but I can walk out and cuss anybody out in another department that I want to and go back and shut my door. But how dare anybody come into my office? It's just, it is the most childish, immature
I
thing
mean,
I've
you
ever
really,
seen
I mean,
from
this
an
one of the
adult.
situations, you just can't make this up.
no, you can't.
I mean, it's just unreal what we're going through here.
I
So,
mean, it was embarrassing.
you have my support, do whatever you need to do.
Yep.
I
Any,
will say that I've had several people reach out to me and want to know the recall petition and the measures to be taken. And I think all the citizens of Meriwether County, if it is where that needs to be pursued, then it is the rights of the citizens of Meriwether County. And if we need to outline it, but my advice was to contact Patty in the elections office
Yeah,
after
that-
180
somebody-
days and do a coordinated effort throughout the county.
Right.
If that's the way.
It's
that
like I said,
works.
elected by the citizens, and they are the losers here.
Exactly.
And then we are when we don't get our money when we're supposed to.
but I do want to say this, it continues to be, I don't work for the county, I work for the citizens. Well, you know, outside of the five of us being together, when we're together, we serve as a board. Individually, we are citizens of this county that vote and pay taxes. So therefore, yes, that office does work for us on an individual basis if that's how they
That's
want to
true.
continue those emails. No, that individual does not work for us as a board, but as citizens of this county, a little bit more respect from that office would be nice.
Just like we work for everybody else too.
Absolutely. We work with everybody else. We have, no problem. We have a great relationship with all the.
Make me have a heart attack.
And I hate to bring it, I don't like controversy either, I'm just tired of it. I mean, that was not the
Well,
first
y'all have
time.
wasted so much time since January
It
1.
interferes every day.
Tending to other stuff that I mean, the postage machine fiasco was about a 2-week process.
Yes, right, yes.
And Mr. Gay and I helped to move those boxes that day and y'all received a copy of it, a letter threatening us from a attorney in the Atlanta area saying that we were trying to intimidate this individual. And that was not it at all. We didn't get in her face and threaten judicial interaction.
It should also be pointed out now the day that the first day of operation, that when she was hit by the car, that the two of y'all and Butch and other people were willing to step in and help do whatever was needed or
I
necessary.
climbed in the back of the ambulance with her and told her, what do you need me to do to make sure your
Exactly.
office runs? Not even a, you know, I don't expect it because I did what we need to do, but not even a thank you.
Well,
Not one thing.
The genuine concern was there. I mean, I was receiving calls and I went down there, talked to Brian en route to make sure if whatever we could do to make sure the office was covered and that she was taken care of.
Yes, we
So,
did, we called,
but
in
there
another
again-
employee from, over Judge Razak's office, and it went well, and we helped, but like you, and I don't, it didn't bother me, but never was there a thank you for any.
It doesn't bother me. I don't expect that. That's part of what we do.
So, anyway, if
I
y'all are okay, I'll
Yes,
just.
ma'am.
I just have one other question. So in making this action or going to a judge, so what does that actually do? What would that actually do?
Is it will prevent her from interfering
But it gives us a normal entrance
That's right.
to do normal business that we do in every other office in this building.
Absolutely.
But
And
it's
not
our
ask our
building.
custodian
I know,
staff,
but no, she says on
Okay.
film, it's her building.
Okay, that's fine.
not ask our custodian staff to take all of their carts and cleaning equipment
Right.
and everything around at the front door and come in amongst the line of citizens.
And there's no way to get around that building from the back, except the road.
Yeah, it's just obstruction is what it is, and that's what I want to see. I may end up, I'll talk with attorney, but I may end up needing to seek, someone else
Outside.
files, we'll look at it, but this needs to happen, and we don't need a repeat of yesterday.
Yeah, we need it
and a
to happen.
repeat of the-
Do you need a motion?
So hearing all this, do we have a motion to allow Mr. Gay to file for an injunction on the state or for the reasons that he has stated?
So move.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Skip, again, I apologize to you for that happening.
Yeah, we do too.
Absolutely.
You don't deserve that.
Absolutely.
And any other interaction like that, if any constitutional officer has an issue with any county employee, department head, or otherwise, needs to be respectful enough to come through the chain of command, and that is through Mr. Gay. And we expect that because that's expected in her office, that individual or any constitutional officer would not like us to try to reprimand any employee. So yes, we apologize to you for that. And from this point forward, the chain of command needs to be followed. All right. Item number 9, discuss covered bridge.
Mr. Chair, I would like to just spend a few minutes, and Skip, if you're ready, would you throw the first shot of that bridge up? I think most of y'all know about, 5 weeks back or so now, we had an incident down at the bridge. And of course, this is our lovely covered bridge, but before we go from this, go back to that one just for a minute. There is ancillary, I got your word, Ms. Shirley, put in there, support that's under that bridge. And some of that I really question now, because you can put your hand, you can move some of that stuff. I don't know if there's shifting going on or what's happening there. But inside the bridge, if you look, you do the inside shot now. This is what happened. These, I don't know what you call these stubs right here that come off, they come from the rafter to the collar beam down to the walls. This is what was taken out. And as you look from the east side all the way down to the west there, you're seeing just a few left down at the end. On the right, I think it's about everything.
Yeah.
And you have very little left. So this is what took place that day when the truck went down and ripped those out. Go ahead to the next slide. I don't know if I caught, that's just a close-up showing you from the other way. If you look up there, see how those things are broken off? Just completely. Go ahead to the next one. I don't know if I have anything. Well, that's even a better picture right there. Look down through there at the damage that was done. to that. Those are all taken out. And I guess the point of my discussion this morning, there's a number of things been done there over time. There's Band-Aids, there's patches, if you want to call them that, have been done. And it's been kind of a disjointed effort. And what I'm wanting to do, and that's the reason I want to bring it up and talk to you, I think we need to bring in the best. If something happens to that bridge and we lose it, it's a one-time thing. We can't put it back.
Right.
If something breaks at the end or whatever happens. So I was wanting permission to start looking, bring an expert down here and start looking, and I have Mark McDonald's name that was suggested to us this morning. And just get something moving, so maybe we can build a game plan of what we need to do in order to preserve.
That was Mark with the Historical Registry.
Georgia Trust
Right.
Okay.
was a recommendation.
Because with it
from-
being on the registry, they may have money available or know how to get
Exactly.
it, and they may even provide engineering services before we go out and get so many companies to come do something. They may provide everything we need because of the significance of what the bridge actually is.
And I'm hoping there will be some of that, Mr. Harris. Another thing that I looked at while I was in there, as you're walking under those shingles, there's you can see white all up and through quite a few of them. So you know it's leaking. There's no doubt. The point of the roof is keep the water off the rest of the structure. And I don't think it's happening like it should. So it needs to be looked at wholesale, from one end to the other. starting from the bottom up, to support everything that's in there. Because y'all like me, I'm sure you're getting calls about the bridge and what's going on and what's happening, when y'all gonna have this back open, that sort of thing. So I think this may help to answer that question if we get somebody down here that will give us the okay, if we can open, just to see what needs to be done and just follow through. That's what I want to bring y'all attention to.
Mr. Chair.
And I don't mind that. I think as long as we can get in touch with the historical registry, they can guide us and do that. But, you know, people in Meriwether County need to realize this is probably one of the biggest prizes that we have, and
Yes.
it can never be replaced. There'll never be another Horace King that can do this. And there are only a few of these left throughout the country, and we need to preserve this as much as possible.
Only one in Georgia's right there.
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say, thank you for bringing that to our attention, Commissioner McCoy. I think like you said, structurally looking at the whole picture so that if there's things that we need to do, phase 1, phase 2, and then you'll know where you need to put the most emphasis at. But I also think as we are proactive moving that direction, we also need to put a campaign together or a community group to let people know this is a treasure that, as Commissioner Threadgill just stated, we'll never be able to replace. So sometimes you got to get the community involved to understand that you want to save this. And even if we want to do it and put the resources behind it, if the citizens and those who are enjoying it don't see the value in it, you get where I'm coming from?
I'll help them with fundraisers. I mean, we
You
can
know,
do-
so it's just, once again, getting some more attention to this on a bigger scale, because the cost to maintain historical things are not cheap at all. But I think, once again, people just take too much for granted, that it's gonna always
Something
be
you
there
wouldn't miss till it was gone.
until it's gone. And we experienced that already with the other previous covered bridge not here in the county. However, this is a jewel for this county, and it is probably photographed more than anything else. And we don't want to miss that. So I do see the importance, as you stated, getting someone to look at this structurally on the inside and the outside. But as we do that, I think we also need to put something in place to educate those who live here and maybe those who are visiting what a rare jewel we have, and that they need to help us preserve it. So I don't know what that looks like, but I do know that, you know, a lot of other communities have gathered together to preserve certain historical sites. So we may want to look at putting something together to do that, because I would hate for us to do all this work,
Right.
someone else have the gall to try to take a
Well, what I wanted to do is get some experts, say y'all need to do this, and
Yeah.
then we can launch whatever.
Well, I don't know if it's something we need to even vote on. I just think if we contact the historical registry and let them guide us, that's probably, to me.
I think you're right, because I listed it as a discussion, and I think that's what.
Right. They should probably be able to guide everything.
Now, the second thing I want to mention to you, our security seems to be working pretty well down there, so.
Uh-huh, you got caught, didn't you? Up on a ladder, and here come the cops.
Oh, man, yeah, he called me and said, I was down there taking some pictures, and he said, motherfuckers down there, he said, sheriff's office showed up. They were good. I'm glad to see them patrolling. We skipped committees, and I need to tell you something.
We didn't recognize that gray hair from the back.
The real key was when he got the ladder out to get up and take those pictures. Skip said, well, I didn't know what good was gonna come, somebody get the ladder out, so. But
Right.
No problem, reach up.
that's right. That's right.
It's best to be safe than sorry.
Any other discussions?
Well,
All right.
who's gonna be the designated contact, Mr. Gay?
Will Allison or one of them reach out to the registry to see if there's a contact
Georgia
person or?
Trust.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
We will.
Okay.
We'll take care of it, and you gave us some numbers already.
Right.
We'll reach out to that, and, maybe also I may reach out to GI just to look at
Sure.
the structural system. I'm not sure those cross beams do anything. They actually transfer the load back over to the main beams. So anyway, we'll just look at that and see.
All right, next
excuse
item on the agenda is for report from the finance director.
Excuse me, Chairman Bryan. Chairman.
Oh.
This is Carol.
Ms. Carolyn, do you have something you wanted to say?
I just, yes, respectfully, I would like to ask if, did, Buster, I had to step out for a minute. Did you mention about the
Oh, the bike ride for May,
May 1st?
that will be coming, right. And I don't know where we'll be at this point on the whole project, Ms. Carolyn.
So the request has to do, we're doing a bicycle ride for our gravel travel project. And it will be on May 1st. I've already talked to the sheriff about conflicts with the cotton picking fair and all that, so that's not an issue. But they have requested permission to ride the bicycles through the covered bridge. There would be maybe up to 250 bicyclists. They would not be going through there all at the same time. There would be a lead pack is what the estimate is of about 10 or 12. And then the rest of the group would be going through there probably 3 and 4 at a time. So before we move forward with our plans, we need the board to authorize us to do that or say no or whatever.
I think we'll probably need to wait until we have somebody look at it structurally to make sure that that particular ride will be okay, that it wouldn't collapse, because then it would be a bad day.
Right,
So
right.
we'll get that as soon as we can.
Okay. We don't want to do anything that's going to put anybody at risk, obviously. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for interrupting.
Mr. Bill. All right, thank you. Next item, report from County Commissioner. Have you said enough? I mean, from County Administrator.
I'll tell you guys a couple things. I wanted to thank Coweta Water and Sewer for their assistance in an issue we had up at the industrial park, and came right out, helped us late in the day, and did so with a great attitude. I've sent the director there a thank you email, but I just want everybody to recognize them as well. We've been working on recreation grants, of course, we talked about. We listened to a census webinar. I met with the Board of Elections, the Water and Sewer Authority, the IDA, the Recreation Board, Lake Meriwether Board, and Airport Authority. We worked with Clinch County. Clinch County came to Greenville last weekend to play basketball. The girls team came to play the Greenville girls team. But they have a really, I mean, this is a 4.5, 5-hour drive. They have about 20 carloads of parents who came to support the team. And they could not get in because of COVID except for the senior parents. So we allowed them to use the parking lot out here to be able to park and watch it as it streamed on television. And I couldn't tell anything ever was even out there. They did a great job. And the chairman Betts, called back and left a voicemail saying how much he appreciated it. And so just wanted to let you guys know we extended a little hospitality out to that. And other than that, that's really all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Next item, report from County Commissioners. Commissioner Hines.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and let you know in advance, I do have a lengthy list of things to cover. I know you are been checking your phone for timing, so I'll try to cover as much as I can. The first thing has to do with roads. I received a call from a Miss Betty Poole. She lives on Oakland Road, and Mr. Gay, I would provide you with her more numbers. I received altogether, I would say 6 calls from her. I received two yesterday. She has been informed by the gentleman who drops off her mail that he will no longer be able to deliver her mail because of the condition of the road. This is a lady who's in her late 70s who depends a lot on mail being delivered to her from her medicine and just services. Even her groceries delivered to her because her daughter placed orders for her and it's delivered. So this is an ongoing challenge that the county has. And as I stated in our last meeting, we're definitely going to need to figure out how we're going to address some of these issues with our roads. When people now depend so much on things being delivered to them, from their medical supplies and food and everything. So it was heartbreaking for her to mention to me that she feels trapped and she can't get people to service her. So once again, I've reached out to Public Works. This is a road that I've had issues with before. It is a dirt road. We've had the bike people to go on this road and tear it up as well. But we do need to address this as soon as possible. This is probably the third or fourth road in my district that has been brought to my attention that the residents are saying that the post people are not willing to come on the road to service them. The second thing I want to bring up is I appreciate those who have gone out and fixed the potholes. We have definitely more of them because of the weather, but I do want to ask the procedure because they put the tar and stuff in, but it's popping back up and it's getting all over the cars and stuff. So, once again, maybe we need to look at another method or what we're doing to address the potholes on the roads. But once again, appreciate what Public Works is doing to get to them because, as I stated earlier, this time of year, you have a lot more potholes. The other thing, received some calls about the two house fires. One was in Luthersville on Main Street, and another house fire last week was on Kodak Road off of Primrose. Totally lost. This board has worked so hard in getting our fire department up and running. We went from a volunteer fire department to a full-time. We're building new fire stations, and that's all good. But I think also is that confidence of our citizen feeling like their community is being served, just like any other community is being served properly. I'm not sure what all happened, but what I'm hearing is people are questioning why it took so long, why there was only one person on the truck once they got there. I was told that the one in Luthersville, there was a problem with the hydrant as far as the pressure, and that Kawita once again came in assist us with a tanker. So I'm not sure all what happened, but I would like to get a written report of what happened so that I can explain it to my constituents, what went on, because they're asking very valid questions. For Primrose, it's an area that's growing. We just talked about a new subdivision coming off of that in that area. And as people move here, they want to know that they're going to be safe and their property is going to be safe. So I think we need to have a more discussion about where we're moving and how our fire department is going. And I would like to get some information on our ISO as well, in reference to the state. So once again, I've asked several times, and I know, Theron, you've been working on this, but those in Primrose want to have a more clear, defined definition of when we're going to get a fire station built in that area. And I know you're working on it. I'm,
And I tried to, actually was gonna call the gentleman yesterday that I told you I was gonna reach out to. And I didn't have his number in my phone, so I've got to go through another source to get his telephone number. And I will be contacting him. The property they own is a great location. I've looked at it, and it would serve well, fit well into our master plan.
definitely need to get something as confirmed. And if that's not an option, then maybe we need to start looking at other options, because for the amount of growth that's going in that area, this is just one of those things that we have to be proactive on. So anyway, once again, it was disheartening to get the calls that I received this past week regarding both of those fires. But the wonderful thing is no lives were lost. But the one on Kodak, the young lady lost everything. The only thing she had was the clothes that she had on her back that day.
I do want to say, though, the comment you made about one person being on the truck, that should have been an easy answer. We only have one person at each station for the fire truck. That's why there was only one person on that truck when it showed up. I mean, that's our standard.
Okay. Well,
There
once
was a
again,
lot
I
of
mean,
response to Luthersville.
and so the thing is, if that's our standard, then long as I know that, and then I can share that with my constituents and they'll have an understanding of it.
There was actually 4 fires last week in Woodbury. There was a lady that was saved, rescued by the police chief. That was a total loss. And I was told that if not all 4, 3 were fully engulfed. In other words, it was almost too late, and they were able to save one structure. I do remember that. They were able to save one structure, but it's a matter of timing. And then the one in Luthersville, I was also advised on that one. There's a lot of questionable. There will be an investigation in that fire because of electrical cords outside running to generators, and there's a lot of questionable activity. So with that being said, I think there's probably more.
I'm sure it is. And all I'm asking is that the board gets a report back so that when we do have it, it's just that once again, I mean, this is not my expertise. And when your constituents call you, they're expecting something. And whatever information that I share with them, I want it to be consistent and I want it to be accurate. And I want them to feel confident that we are doing our very best to make sure that we are going to always provide the best service and that they feel that we have their best interests. So that is just the main thing that I want to get across, because if you ever lost something in a fire or whatever, it's a devastating thing, whether it's a fire or you've had a major flood, it changes your life drastically. So I just wanted to make sure that. The last thing, this is to our attorney. At our meeting, we had a meeting, I think it was I'm gonna get my dates together. But anyway, this board was asked to vote for the attorney to look into a matter of illegal voting during the commissioner meeting that was held on December the 22nd regarding the appointment to the IDA board. And I would just like for the attorney to give us back their finding. It was voted in an open meeting. I just want to get the information back in a meeting.
I mean, I wasn't, you talking about which vote?
It was December the 22nd.
But I don't know what was the vote. I mean,
Oh,
what
the
was
vote.
issue I should say?
Okay, it was, this board was asked we voted to have our attorney to go look into a matter of whether or not a vote that was made to appoint someone to the IDA, whether it was legal or improper. And we've just not gotten a report back.
Well, I thought that already been reported on.
If it was, it wasn't reported to the board.
I think mine just reported briefly on it, but, it did find there was a, real issue there, but I know he worked on it.
Yeah, I mean, I believe, I remember that issue came up, and I remember Mr. Hill was gonna report to the board. I thought he did.
He may have reported to the administrator or individual, but nothing was brought to the entire board. So I'm just asking that we get something to the board.
Our opinion was that nothing was illegal.
Okay, that's all I needed.
And I think that was what Michael had said.
Yeah, I thought he had already told me that.
Other than that, that's all I have at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Plant?
I just want to remind everyone to early vote through Friday, and then Tuesday is the day of voting for eSplosh. That's the only thing on the ballot, and it is in reference to the school bonds, which should be paid off in 2023. And it's a continuation. It is not a new tax. And just encourage everyone to shop Merriweather to help support eSplosh. So
Thank you
That's
very
it.
much. Commissioner Hadley?
Just a couple of things. One, I think I mentioned this earlier, but Warm Springs is continuing on with their spring fling, annual spring fling. It will be Saturday, April the 10th. Getting good response as far as vendors and people planning to be there. So hopefully it'll be a good day for Warm Springs. And I just want to clarify one thing that I said in our discussion earlier about the other office in the county. When I said I'm tired of citizens, getting calls from citizens, I did not mean I'm tired of citizens actually calling me. I thought about later how that sounded. Citizens call me anytime, all the time, that is fine. I'm just tired of the issues that they're having. So I just wanted to clarify that. In no way did I mean I'm tired of receiving calls, because that is, nothing could be further from the truth. I just hate the issues that they're having to go through. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner McCoy?
Just a couple of things I was gonna mention. Roads was mentioned earlier, and I've got a number of calls on roads this time. I've been able to get Tyrell and Mr. Bill have responded well. I like that. But there's something different out there about this year's rains. I don't know. We seem to have a lot of culverts trying to fail. And even the ones that are holding, there's rat holing going around the ends of them, even under the pavement. We've got one particular road I was driving on Sunday. I just drove up and the pavement was way down. So under the road, you've got that undermining going on. So don't think just because it's paved, you can't have problems. You can.
Usually, a lot of times that indicates there's a hole in the pipe and it'll
Yeah.
suck.
When it starts rat holing like that, yeah. And the other thing I was gonna mention, we had our Lake Meriwether meeting last night, and we probably concentrated as much on the river trail as we did anything. And we're still making steps, still making strides. People are still working, so that's coming along pretty nicely there. We even talked about the McDaniels and the Riverside Inn and how that's gonna augment what we're trying to do there. So I think that's going to be a big thing for Meriwether County if we can ever get through. And they're gonna actually start breaking ground down at the crossing there at 18 in Flint River well, they're hoping for July. If they can, that will be great to get something moving. And the other thing was the bike ride, but I think we've already covered that, so I'll drop that one. And that's all I had.
All right. Thank you. And I don't have anything to add. I think you all covered most everything. So next
Chair,
item,
I'm
yes.
sorry. In reference to the cover, is there any way, can they go and look at the ones that we got and just start looking at them? Because, I mean, I know the manpower is short, but can we start looking at them, just going and
Looking at the covered bridge.
Evaluating them, the
the
culverts.
culverts before they,
culverts.
yeah.
If you want to see a good example, just about half a mile from Alberton Road on Garner Road is one of the best I've seen. That's where it's just gone under there and just, the pavement's just settled right there.
You said that's where?
That's Alberton Road.
Okay.
Go Alberton Road and turn on Garner Road. Less than a half mile down at the bottom is a little stream called Dudden Branch.
Okay,
And that's where it comes through.
okay. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is report from county attorney. Do we have need for executive session? Okay. For what? Okay. All right, next item is public comment. If there are any citizens that would like to speak, please unmute and state your name.
Mr. Chairman, this is Charlene Glover. I am a citizen, and I'm sorry I missed the beginning of the meeting. However, please help me understand the permit that was given on Saturday, because I've taken so much heat Monday and even Sunday at home for allowing another school to have a celebration at the DFACS office when the school was denied one for Greenville High School. And I know I had nothing to do with it, but with that building, I guess, being in the city limits, I received a lot of heat Sunday and Monday because of this tailgating that was taking place on Saturday. And the other issue I'm having, I have tried to let every caller we have understand that I don't have any control over the tax office. And I don't have the manpower to see how long the line may be and then come back to the phone and share that with them. So as soon as something can be done to alleviate part of those problems from the city having to entertain, it will be highly appreciated. Again, I apologize for not being
That's okay.
on at the beginning of the meeting, but we have an audit going on also. And whatever you can do to help with the situation next door. And I hope, I see Catherine is on here. So Catherine, whatever you can do to try to let people know that the city of Greenville has no control over your office. I appreciate both of those concerns.
Thank you, Mayor Glover. And we'll get a response back to you on the school being here, okay? Mr. Gay had to
Thank you.
step out. Yes, ma'am. Any other citizens?
Yes, this is Antonio Richardson.
Okay, Mr. Richardson.
I got a couple of concerns. I might have jumped in the meeting late and didn't catch it if y'all talked about it. But on Primrose Road, when they resurfaced that road, one end of the road is surface correct, and the other end of the road is just like you driving down a dirt road. As a matter of fact, a lot of us got the newer vehicles, they got tarred up behind how that road was did. Y'all got, it's a tanker truck, tar truck at the end of the road, been sitting there ever since they resurfaced that road. And that one of the roughest riding road you can ride on beside a dirt road. And I would like to know when somebody coming back and finish that up.
We've got that with the contractor. I think, the materials put down didn't adhere to the road real well, and the contractor is gonna come back out and fix that. The temperature is starting to break. This has been the best week we've had for being able to do the paving. And we should be out there very soon to make those repairs. I know we've been talking to them, in the last week. So I've been through there, realized there's some more work needs to be done, but we will fix that road, and it will look just like the rest of the area we paved, okay?
Okay, my other concern, I stay on Kodiak Lane. I wonder why that road had to bottom out in order for them to come out there and scrape that road. It's just a little piece of road. It actually goes all the way through, but they never scrape no more than just right at the end of it. The road is supposed to go all the way through. It's Kodiak Lane. And the reason I know this is because I've been standing over there since I was 12 years old. And that road is not being taken care of. And I got a comment on that fire. Marie Prate, the house that burnt down, she stayed right there in front of me. My kid got out of the school bus and said, "Daddy, I see some smoke coming from Marie house." I throw on my clothes, I ran down there. My uncle said they had been standing there almost 20 minutes. And you ain't heard a siren or nothing. The closest fire department, it's only 3 to 4 miles away.
That's
Right there in
Kodiak
Lano.
Road?
It's Kodiak Road.
Okay.
That's Kodiak Lane.
We'll take a look at that.
When I walked down there, it was still just smoking. I stood down no 15 minutes of battle before I even heard a siren. And then when the guy got there, it more like he was just lost. He didn't know what was going on. But my neighbor that works in Cayuga County, he had to come out there, start snatching the hose off the truck and try to get things situated in order to try to help put that fire out, which I feel like that house should have been saved. My personal opinion, because it was like 30 minutes before anything, that from the time I got down there. Now my house sit in the back of there, almost 200 yards from that fire hydrant. Me and Marie house is the only one on city water. So my question is, and God so help me, I hope it never happens. If my house catch on fire, what gonna happen? I don't even have a fire hydrant even close to my house. It's like the closest one is 200 yards away, or better.
I'll take a look at the issues. I know Commissioner Hyde has asked about a report of the fire. We'll take a look at that, and we'll discuss that further and be sure that we are. I think we are, but we'll be sure that we're prepared as well as we can be to, protect the citizens of their property. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir. Is there any other comments?
Yes, sir. My name is Damon Rosser. I stay on Primrose Road. I just have a few things that I want to discuss with you all today. And thank you all for allowing me to speak as well. First thing I would just like to say to the subdivision that's possibly going on Possum Trot Trail, I commend the builder that's going to try to take care of the situation as far as paving the road. That means a lot. If we can get a lot of other contractors to come in this county to do that, that would alleviate and take care of some of the burden that the county having to take care of with roads and such. And also to the biggest thing, and the next thing I want to talk about also was that fire on Kodiak Lane. I was the individual that helped pull hose to try to put that house out. And to me, I think it was a delay in response to that location, because my wife had to get off of work, come home, tell me what was going on, and I had to go back up there, and the fire truck was just pulling up. So it took me at least 5 to 6 minutes just to do that part of it. So that fire could have been a whole lot better if we had the resources on scene. That truck that responded should have got on the scene within 5 to 6 minutes, 6 to 6 minutes at the most. Also, the backup units should have been on scene within 10 to 15 minutes with being from Luthersville. And if that station in Primrose had been in place, it shouldn't have took them no more than 5 minutes. So there's something needs to be done because all the citizens on this side of the county right now in Primrose area and Zion Hill community feel as though that if that house catches on fire, it is done. It's just gonna be a bunch of rubble and just having to start over again. And me personally, being on that scene, seeing what happened, if not half that house should have been saved of Miss Prather. I know for a fact, being that I've been in the fire service now nearly 29 years, something should have been done a little bit better than what it had done. And I feel as though that on that side, Miss Plant, you need just to reach out to Miss Prather because that is your side of the town.
Okay.
You need to be more involved with your citizens on this end. I don't know you. You haven't reached out to no one on this end. There's a lot of concerns that people have on this end. And I feel as though that you need to get out more and talk with these people and just ease their minds what's happening within this county. And with that being said, another thing, I thank the builder once again, but the county themselves need to figure out a way to get this infrastructure better on this end of the community. It's okay that we're getting all these houses put in, but if we're not going to take care of the infrastructure, we're just going backwards. So that's my 2 cents, and I thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your comment. There is being an investigation. We are moving on the house fire.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else out there?
I'd like to say something if there's no one else.
Yes.
Everybody has.
Ms. Catherine, this is just for the private citizens at this point.
I'm sorry, did you say I'm not allowed to speak?
At this point.
Wait, I don't know what's going on, but I can't hear. Can you,
Let me see if I can speak directly into this thing. This is really set aside for the private citizens, Ms. Catherine.
is there anybody else that's willing, am I stepping in front of somebody that's speaking?
Well, I'm having trouble hearing you also. Repeat.
I asked if there was anybody that I'm stepping out in front of, if there's any other
I
private.
don't think there's anybody you're stepping out in front of, but the public comment was just for that, public comment.
Well, I'm also a member of this county.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I appreciate that you're giving me the opportunity to speak. I wish I didn't, I had something come up this morning, so I couldn't speak during my, during the constitutional officer time. But I just wanted to give you an update on some of the things so that the citizens know what we're doing. And there's 3 issues. So to address the lines that we've had, so we have had a lot of lines. Some of that is due to staffing. Some of that is due to the fact that our drive system, which is our vehicle registration system that is run by the Georgia Department of Revenue, has been acting pretty funny. It actually went down yesterday about 2:30. And so we've had a lot of issues with that. It's been a constant frustration, not just for this county, but for a lot of other counties. So I can't do much about that. But as far as the lines go, we are getting the lines down. And most of the time we don't have more than a 10 or 15 minute wait now. So the next thing is the hours. So we are changing the hours of that we're open. So what they were previously was 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So now we're going to be open from 8:30 to 4:30, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And what we've done now is we've added an additional, we've extended our time so that on Tuesday, we're open from 8:30 to 5:30. So we're hoping that will help some people that I know it's difficult for them to get in sometimes earlier than that. And then another thing that is coming up is that we have, we're about, the last I heard, we should have it by the end of March, is there's going to be a kiosk available, not in the county, but for anybody that works outside of the county So I'm saying like if anybody works in Peachtree City or in Columbus or in Macon, after we are completely set up at no cost to the county, then citizens will be able to not just renew the registration, but get their decals at the same time. So I think that's going to be a big thing. And then I also just found out yesterday that Coweta County is also going to have a kiosk. So I think that will help for a lot of people, so that if they need to renew the registration, they can do that right away. But those were the things I wanted to talk about. And I did hear the discussion about my office earlier. So
You're getting the gong, Miss Catherine.
okay. All right. Well, I appreciate the time to get that out. So maybe we can come to an understanding later. I am disappointed that the board would rather seek to start a recall rather than try to help my office out. The only thing that I asked for yesterday was a work order, which they said I couldn't.
Miss Catherine, I'm getting murmuring in the back. I'm gonna have to hold your statement. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner McCoy, I'm just about to say,
Yeah.
Chair. For the comments that we were getting from the public comments, especially from Damian Rosser, I do want to acknowledge that Mr. Rosser, like he stated, has 29 years in the fire department. He was just made captain in the Coweta or Noonan, I'm not sure. But I want to personally thank him for stepping up to help and assist in that situation. I mean, and those who work and serve in this industry always will do that regardless. It's just part of who they are. And so anyone from our volunteer firefighters to everybody who stepped up and assist in the fire on Kodak and the one in Main Street, and Commissioner Plant just mentioned something in Woodbury. So I personally want to always applaud those who put forth that effort and go the extra mile. But once again, we as a board and as working on our infrastructure, as this county grow, we definitely need to have more discussion on how we're going to address these things. So look forward to getting that report. But I just wanted to mention his extra effort that he took into that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I believe that ends our public comment.
One thing I need to make sure I understand, I think Ms. Jenkins mentioned this board starting a recall. That was not my understanding.
That was not.
This board does not have the legal power to start a recall. That y'all can't.
She said what she said what a citizen had asked her about.
I just want to make sure this.
I'm trying to address the citizens outreaching to me and me trying to advise, but we're not.
Right.
That is.
No way.
There's no, but I just want to make clear, and I don't think this board understood that. This board cannot organize.
Right.
And I thought y'all understood that, but I want to make it clear.
Well,
Tomorrow, nobody was calling saying how we start the recall.
okay. Well, thank you for that clarification.
One last thing, I think in order for the citizens to understand the process that's what, okay, thank you.
Sure, I didn't hear you. I didn't have, nothing you said was out of bounds. I was just making, based upon Ms. Jenkins' comments, I want to make sure I didn't miss you.
That's right.
Shotgun too much as a child. Whenever you're
Yeah, me too.
I'm 47 with my
75.
Let me go ahead and get a few things out here. Our future meetings and notices, March 23rd, we have a work session at 4, and of course on March 23rd, we have our regular meeting at 6 p.m. With that being said, do I hear a motion we go into executive session? And the reasons were personnel and litigation.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, we're in executive session at this time. Do I hear a motion we go back into regular session? And Skip, you wanted to address us.
Yes. I just wanted to make a comment on the part of that email, the hanging up on email. I had answered her question 3 different times while I was trying to do work on Miss Doris's computer. She wouldn't listen, understand what I was saying, so I had to get off the phone. And yes, I did hang up on her. The second time she's talking about, I have no idea what she's referring to. But that was the only time I can think of. The other stuff, I appreciate everybody's standing behind me. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We
Steve.
appreciate you too, buddy.
Has anybody got anything else that needs to be brought up? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank y'all.
So adjourned, 11:43. Thank y'all.